Marco Rubio thought he could dodge tough questions, but Representative Brad Sherman wasn't having it. In a fiery House hearing, Sherman cut through the filibustering and demanded straight answers on Saudi nukes, Iran sanctions, TikTok, and Trump's shady foreign deals. What followed was one of the sharpest moments of real oversight we've seen in years, and it's exactly why Democrats can't afford to back down.
Representative Sherman. We all miss Jerry Conley, and I do not think that he would want us to be passive in our questioning here today. Mr. Chairman, it's our job to oversee the State Department. You can't do that by having think tank witnesses come before us. Our job isn't to oversee the think tanks. In 2023, we had 44 government witnesses. This year, we have our first, and I hope very much that we have all the, not only the secretary, but the undersecretaries and assistant secretaries so that we can really do our job. Secretary Rubio, in the 1970s, there was a powerful Middle East monarch who claimed to be a friend of the United States, may very well have been, claimed to be at least agreeable to Israel. And so in the 1970s, we transferred enormous, sophisticated weapons to him. In 1979, the Shah was deposed and all those weapons were in the hands of the Ayatollah. Today, MBS wants a nuclear weapon. But he says what he wants is a nuclear cooperation agreement. Well, we have a nuclear cooperation agreement with the United Arab Emirates and Turkey and Morocco that all provide for a gold standard of safety. Can you assure us that you will not enter into a nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia that does not have that same gold standard of security to make sure they're not building a nuclear weapon?
Well, first I will tell you that there has been no conversation about entering into one. For example, during the recent trip.
And can you? I've got limited time.
I can't. So here's the thing. I can
Sir,
tell you.
Either give me a yes, give me a no.
Well, I'm going to give you my answer if you want my answer.
I want a yes
this is not
or
a
no.
game show.
Reclaiming my time.
Well, reclaim your time, but it's not a game show. I get to answer. These are complex questions. Let me answer.
Mr. Secretary, I'm reclaiming my time. The filibustering
means,
takes place in the Senate, not here.
I'm not filibustering. I'm trying to answer your question.
You're trying. Let's go on to the next question. With regard to Iran, can you assure us that you will continue sanctions on Iran until they verifiably agree to abandon all enrichment? That's a yes or no question.
No, it's not.
Well, can you give me a yes or no, or should I go on to the next question?
We believe that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium. Correct.
You believe that it should?
We believe that an acceptable deal with Iran is one in which they cannot enrich, because if they can enrich, they can weaponize.
I know why we don't want. I asked you, will we agree? Will we continue the sanctions until they verifiably agree to get rid of?
Oh, you have no worry about us. The worry was the previous administration. This administration has been.
Your refusal to give me an answer is loud and clear.
No, well, I'd like to answer
reclaiming my time. Mr. Chair, you told us about all these wonderful business deals that were announced in the Middle East. It's reminiscent of the first year of the first term of Donald Trump, where he announced a $10 billion investment by Foxconn in Wisconsin. It is still an empty field. I am sure that the only deals announced in the Middle East that will actually happen were the bribery deals, the $400 million plane and the $2 billion Abu Dhabi will put into the cryptocurrency sponsored by Mr. Trump. TikTok. Mr. Secretary, you led the effort to say that it shouldn't be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. We passed a law with your help. That law requires that we ban TikTok now because all of the expiration dates have expired. But instead, we saw Chinese interests affiliated with TikTok transfer $300 million into the Trump coin, which is a pure gift. It's $300 million for nothing but monopoly money. And so there's a word in Mandarin for this. It's called bribery. And it raises the question that I'll ask you to respond to for the record, and that is there any statute this administration will not violate for a $300 million Chinese bribe? We next focus on USAID. Musk gutted it. He said no one died as a result. Do you agree that no one has died yet as a result of the chainsawing of USAID? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, the question is, has anyone what?
Has anyone in the world died because of what Elon Musk did?
Listen.
Yes or no, reclaiming my time. If you won't answer, that's a loud answer.
No one has
Put
died
up
because of
the
USAID.
of the people who have died
That's a
as a
lie.
result of cutting off the oxygen of a woman in Burma and denying HIV/AIDS treatment to those in Africa. They are dead now at the hands of Elon Musk and his co-conspirators.
Chair
I
now
yield back.
recognizes Representative.
What you just watched wasn't just another back and forth in Congress. It was a rare moment where a Democrat refused to let a Republican senator hide behind long-winded talking points. Representative Brad Sherman pressed Marco Rubio with tough, direct questions, and when Rubio tried to slip away with vague answers, Sherman cut right through the noise. That's not grandstanding, that's oversight. And that's exactly what we expect our elected officials to do. Let's unpack this a little. When Sherman brought up Saudi Arabia, he wasn't just talking about foreign policy in the abstract, he was drawing on history. In the 1970s, the United States armed the Shah of Iran with sophisticated weapons. When that regime fell, those same weapons ended up in the hands of the Ayatollah, our adversary. That's a lesson we should never forget. Short-term deals with authoritarian rulers often come back to haunt America in the long run. So when Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince, pushes for a nuclear cooperation agreement, Democrats like Sherman are right to demand strict safety standards, the so-called gold standard, to ensure it can't be turned into a weapons program. That's not obstructionism. That's protecting the security of our nation and the world. Sherman also put Rubio on the spot about Iran. The question was simple. Would sanctions remain in place until Iran verifiably gave up uranium enrichment? That's a yes or no question. But Rubio refused to answer directly, and that's the problem. Too often, Republicans try to blur these critical issues, giving themselves political wiggle room while leaving Americans in the dark. Sherman's pushback, his insistence that the filibustering belongs in the Senate, not the House, wasn't just a clapback. It was a demand for clarity in a world where ambiguity can mean life or death. And then came the issue of TikTok and Trump coin. This is where the stakes get even more alarming. Sherman pointed to Chinese money flowing into a Trump-backed cryptocurrency, calling it what it is, bribery. Think about that. At a time when both parties have recognized that TikTok poses a national security risk because of its ties to the Chinese Communist Party, Republicans are turning around and allowing Beijing-linked interests to shovel money into Trump's ventures. That's not just hypocrisy, that's a potential breach of U.S. law and a threat to our democracy. Finally, Sherman raised USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, which Elon Musk has reportedly gutted. This isn't just about bureaucracy. When USAID loses funding, real people lose access to life-saving programs, whether it's oxygen for women in Burma or HIV treatment for families in Africa. Those aren't abstract policy debates. Those are lives. Sherman made it clear, when billionaires and Republicans treat foreign aid like a disposable luxury, people die. So what you saw in that exchange wasn't just a heated moment. It was a Democrat exposing how evasions, half-answers, and corporate corruption undermine American values. Sherman didn't just reclaim his time, he reclaimed the responsibility of Congress to demand accountability. And here's the bigger picture. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans in some partisan game. It's about whether we, as a nation, are going to hold leaders accountable when they dodge, distract, or sell out American security for political gain. It's about whether we're going to remember the lessons of history, from the Shah to Saudi Arabia, from Iran to Trump's shady foreign deals, and refuse to let them repeat. That's why moments like this matter, because democracy doesn't die overnight. It erodes when leaders are allowed to dodge questions, when foreign money creeps into our politics unchecked, and when compassion for the most vulnerable takes a backseat to greed. Sherman reminded us that oversight is not optional. It is the very essence of Congress's duty to the American people. And if you're watching this and you want more than just surface-level clips, if you want deeper analysis, context, and a voice that refuses to let evasion go unchallenged, then this is the channel for you. Democrat Arising is here to cut through the noise, to hold the powerful accountable, and to remind us why these fights matter. So if that's the kind of content you want to support, subscribe and join this community, because the louder we are together, the harder it becomes for corruption and evasion to hide in plain sight. That's why moments like this matter, because democracy doesn't die overnight. It erodes when leaders are allowed to dodge questions, when foreign money creeps into our politics unchecked, and when compassion for the most vulnerable takes a backseat to greed. Sherman reminded us that oversight is not optional. It is the very essence of Congress's duty to the American people. And if you're watching this and you want more than just surface-level clips, if you want deeper analysis, context, and a voice that refuses to let evasion go unchallenged, then this is the channel for you. Democrat Arising is here to cut through the noise, to hold the powerful accountable, and to remind us why these fights matter. So if that's the kind of content you want to support, subscribe and join this community, because the louder we are together, the harder it becomes for corruption and evasion to hide in plain sight.